What's up, everybody? Now, the new NBA store has opened up in London. I've been talking about going to this place for a very, very long time. Everybody knows that I'm an Orlando Magic fan. Now, I need to buy some new stuff, obviously, because that's what basketball fans do. On top of that, it's also a big day because after I go to the NBA store, I'm then going to go see Space Jam 2 for the first time. Looking very much forward to this. It's going to take me about 45 minutes to drive into London, park the car near Ealing Tube Station, and then get the tube into London about another 45 minutes. So let's just have a good day today. So when I found out that they were making an NBA store here in London, I was just absolutely over the moon, because you have to remember that I come from a basketball family. My dad was a top professional basketball coach in the British Basketball League in the 90s, and the idea of an NBA store, just even buying NBA clothing or basketball shoes when I was a kid growing up, was almost impossible. You just never were able to find something like this in London. So this is why this is such a big deal to me. So a lot of people have asked me, why are you an Orlando Magic fan? Well, it starts in 1997 when my dad bought me a t-shirt of Shaquille O'Neal, only then to tell me right afterwards, oh, by the way, he doesn't play at the club anymore. Well, that was great. Then, 3 seasons later, he bought me this really nice Penny Hardaway Orlando Magic jersey. Same thing, hate to break it to you, but he's gone to the Phoenix Suns. So, I became a big T-Mac fan in the 2001-02 season when he was their best player. But I never bought an Orlando Magic jersey until 2021 on my 31st birthday. Mo Bamba, please don't leave the Magic. So now I've arrived at Ealing Broadway. Gotta hop on the tube. It's probably gonna take another 45 minutes to get to London, but like I said, NBA store, Space Jam 2, it's all worth it today. Now I'm about to hop onto the underground here at Ealing Broadway. 45 minutes roughly, but like I say, it will be worth it. Now you're probably wondering, why not just drive the car into central London so I'm close to the NBA store? Well, that is a very, very bad idea, because the parking and congestion costs are an absolute fortune. But there's a variety of ways that you can get to central London very quickly from Ealing Broadway. Now, I did live in this area for 2 years, living in Ealing Common, so I'm very used to taking the train to central London. You can take the Piccadilly line, you can take the District line, you can also take National Rail, that will take you quickly to London Paddington in 15 minutes, but in this case, I'm going to take the Central line and go directly to Oxford Circus. So it's roughly about 35 to 45 minutes, but again, it's very, very easy to get to central London, and it's a great place to park your car that doesn't cost you a lot of money for the day. So now I've arrived at the famous spot here in central London in Oxford Circus. Next stop, to find the NBA store in Canarby Street. So now we've arrived at Oxford Circus. We have to walk to Canarby Street, but as I said, almost there. Really, really excited for this one. Now, if you've ever come to London as a tourist, you know that this is the one place here, Oxford Circus, where you can buy all your very much expensive goods, from clothing to electronics to anything. But just to be clear, you won't ever find me shopping around this area. You'll only find me here, well, you find me here often walking, but I won't come here for shopping, that's for sure. Well, anyway, let's find the NBA store. So I entered Canarby Street via Oxford Circus, and it is a little bit of a crystal maze when you walk past the place, because there's so many little roads and streets. But once you see the Adidas store and you look left, there you'll see the new London NBA store. So once you enter the NBA store, the nostalgia hits you right away, because after all, this is something basketball fans here in the United Kingdom have been waiting for a very, very long time. What's pretty cool about the NBA store here in London is that on the left side you have the Western Conference teams, and on the right side there are all the Eastern Conference teams. This is really, really cool. Now, the British Basketball NBA community for social media has been amazing, because you have social media accounts of every NBA team. And this London NBA store, well, it has every single NBA team, you name it. Now, of course, yeah, some teams have a little bit more than others, but it's not like the old days when you went into JJB or JD or Foot Locker and you had jerseys of only the Lakers, the Chicago Bulls. This store has every single NBA team. It's an NBA fan's dream. Now, the store is just more than selling jerseys and t-shirts and warm-up tops, you name it. They have a variety of different things that you can buy. Now, if you go to the back of the store on level 1, there is a whole wall dedicated to NBA hats. Now, I have 2 friends who I run a podcast with called Below the Rim, and they're absolutely mad about hats. They're the Mad Hatters. Bad joke, I know. Anyway, Adam even makes hats, and he would absolutely love this place. Same with Pablo. I mean, these hats, they come in different styles. Now, I'm not a big fan of hats myself. I don't really wear them. I've probably never worn a hat in my adulthood ever. But again, just seeing the different variety and style of NBA hats they have here, this is really, really cool. Now, knowing my pal Adam very well, you can see him on Twitter. He is at Bram161. He's a part of the Below the Rim Twitter. He is a huge Atlanta Hawks fan, so no doubt only one of these hats he's going to want to buy. Now, he did say, I quote, that Trae Young will be as good as Stephen Curry. Trying to hold it in. But anyway, Adam, love you, bro. You will love this place. Loads of Atlanta Hawks gear. Next time I'm up there, I will get you some stuff. Okay, now I'm having way too much fun in this place. I'm like a kid in a candy store, a proper tourist, whatever you want to call it, and I need to go find some stuff for the Orlando Magic. So, let's go. Magic together. Obviously the future player of the Magic. I've already got one Magic jersey. Got these really nice Magic hoodies. Problem is, I'm a big human being. The largest they have is a large. I need at least 2XXL, but it just shows Magic, we are selling everywhere. Magic together. Save! Just as I was recording that video, one of the guys working at the store heard me and said that they have a XXL Magic hoodie, so I got it. That really was Magic moment. Yeah, that's another bad joke. I know, I'm sorry. Okay, so that wraps up the first one. Now we're going to head downstairs, and downstairs is NBA Vintage Zone. Everything from the 90s and the 80s. Throwback vintage jerseys. This is really something big from my childhood. This is my childhood right here. Allen Iverson, 2001 Philadelphia 76ers jersey, the MVP of that season, the only player to defeat Shaq and the Lakers. There you can see T-Mac and Vince Carter, Toronto Raptors, late 90s. Dennis Rodman's second three-peat for the Bulls. Karl Malone, 1997 MVP jersey for the Jazz. Magic Johnson's jersey, late 80s, early 90s. And the Diesel, three-time champ with the Lakers. There you can see Nuggets and the Nets, early 90s, 91, 92, I believe. Now, the Pistons jersey here for Grant Hill was 97, 8, 9. I wasn't a fan of this. I prefer the old Bad Boys, along with the 90s Mavericks jersey. This one right here, the Rockets jersey, post-1996 championship. I liked it, but many people didn't. Cleveland Cavaliers, the King. I mean, this is my childhood. Remembering the days of playing NBA Live 98 every day at home. These vintage jerseys. Tim Duncan's for the 1999 Spurs. Doesn't look too different really from modern day, but it's still vintage. Steve Nash, late 90s for the Phoenix Suns, and there's Scottie Pippins. I mean, this really is my childhood. Also in the Vintage Zone here in the London NBA store, there's a section for the WNBA, which is really, really cool. And they had some nice stuff there for the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces. Again, they sold some nice t-shirts and some excellent hoodies. You can see them just as you go downstairs where the Vintage Zone is. It's a section for the WNBA. Now, I completely missed this on the way down, but as you walk on the stairs, whether you're going down or up in the NBA store, you'll notice on the wall there's a couple of images. Now, these images are basically every time the NBA has come over to London and played a regular season or an exhibition game. And if you notice, it goes from the very beginning. The first two teams to play in London were my Orlando Magic and Adam's Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, the Magic won. But if you go across the steps and go up and down, you'll see all the different times, what year they played, what the scores were. This was pretty cool. Well, I've got everything with me. It's been a fantastic trip, and now it's time for me to purchase everything I've got. Coming to the NBA London store was more than just coming as a customer. Today I came as a tourist because when you see all the NBA stuff around you, it just makes you feel very, very nostalgic if you're passionate about the game of basketball. Well, I've got 3 hours until Space Jam 2, time to kill, but more importantly, it's lunchtime. So I'm now back in central London. Got everything I needed from the NBA store. Now it's time for lunch. The beauty of living near London or being able to get into London is you can have anything you want from all over the world. Right now I'm going to head over to Leicester Square, Jollibee. If you know, you know. Laban Pilipinas. Puso. So as I walked over to Leicester Square to go get Jollibee, I bumped into a familiar superstar. Yep, Darth Vader. I asked him a very, very interesting question, and here it was.
Who's your favourite NBA team? Who? Oh, you like the Pelicans, don't you? When he pointed his finger at me and he was breathing quite heavily, I thought he said Pelicans. I honestly thought he did. But anyway, on to Jollibee. Now, Jollibee is one of the best fast food chains to eat in London. It is honestly the greatest. It comes from the Philippines. They got restaurants all over the world. Now, I did a podcast with my good friend Enzo Flojo, the Hoop Nut, with the best, well, one of the best international players in the game in Ricardo Ratliff, and he even said, quote unquote, Jollibee from his time playing in the Philippines in the PBA was the go-to food. I highly recommend it. I got rice with chicken and salad. I got a hot dog and some french fries, and that was even a small meal for me. Trust me, if you're in London, get Jollibee. You won't regret it. As Ricardo Ratliff said, it is the go-to food.
Take him down for a trip to Jollibee. Can't go wrong. Never ever go wrong,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh yes, I do remember Jollibee though, for sure. That's the go-to.
So as I'm finishing up my really yummy meal here at Jollibee, I started to think about Space Jam: A New Legacy, and to be honest, I didn't have a lot of expectations for this film. I was just excited to see the sequel of my favorite film of all time. A lot of my good friends who are pro basketball players from the United Kingdom that play all over the world, a lot of them have said to me that one of the reasons they got involved in the game of basketball is because of the movie Space Jam. You have to remember that basketball wasn't a lot on TV back then, and this was a way that inspired them. And it's just going to be interesting to see how this new film inspires the next generation.
So now it's 3 hours later. I've arrived at the cinema. I'm gonna go watch Space Jam 2. A lot of people making debates. Is it better than Space Jam 1? I'll find out. I'll let you know. But right now, I'm excited. Space Jam 2 did not disappoint. I know a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, not as good as the first one." That's a pretty good film. So anyway, that's the day over for me. On my way home now. NBA store, got some stuff. Space Jam 2. Time to go home.